question is, what's going to be your desired accomplishments if you get elected in your first month?
So my first month, that's good. So for the first 2 years that we're actually in Congress, we have to deal with Joe Biden still being in the White House. So I think a lot of times congressmen and senators will say, on my first month, I'm going to pass X amount of bills because that's what the legislature is supposed to do. They're supposed to pass bills. However, with Biden sitting in the Oval Office, I think our job is to impeach him. So day one, I will sign on to articles of impeachment for Joe Biden. Marjorie Taylor Greene already has some drafted. I will just sign right onto those. I think we can add articles based on everything that's happening right now with Ukraine, Hunter's laptop. We can continue to improve that bill. I'd also like to add a second impeachment for Kamala Harris as well. We have a clear vector there with her cheering on and fundraising the riots of 2020 that killed people, destroyed property, burned down American cities. So that's all going to happen. Oversight. Congress has this amazing ability to conduct oversight. So the election of 2020, I think that there should be an oversight committee onto that topic, and we won't go any further. Happy to talk about that offline with people. That's huge. Also, the January 6th narrative that Jeremy Herrera Butler is still continuing to this day has been used. It's been weaponized against American citizens. We've seen the FBI target people that were there present on that day in January 6th, deprive them of all their constitutional rights, throw them away into essentially political prisons. I spent most of my adult life fighting overseas, totalitarian regimes, terrorist organizations, and this is what authoritarian regimes do. They turn their intelligence services and their law enforcement wing against their political opposition, and they throw them away into dungeons, and they're locked up, never to be seen again. And that's what's happened with a lot of the January 6th prisoners, but also that narrative is incredibly powerful because it's being weaponized against moms and dads who happen to go to school boards. We've caught the FBI counterterrorism task force going and targeting these people. So this is something that Congress can do. It's not a legislative action, it's oversight action. It's to actually show the American people exactly what happened on January 6th, how many undercover agents, human sources, and what type of involvement the federal government had in January 6th, remove the Freedom of Information Act protection that there is in the Sergeant at Arms office, the Capitol Police offices. Just lay it all out for the American people, because this insurrection narrative has been used against Republicans and conservatives. This is how we start to bring our national security state to heel. Like I proudly worked in the CIA. I think we need actual intelligence agencies that are defending our country but not targeting Americans. So everything from January 6th all the way to the abuses of the NSA, some of the most potent tools the intelligence community have that were leveraged against President Trump. We've seen a lot of that come to light now. We were told it was Russian collusion for like 3 years that ripped the country apart. Turns out it was the DNC collaborating with people that were in our intelligence community. Just as recently as with the Hunter Biden's laptop, we had 20 plus senior, like former directors of the CIA and the NSA, those guys saying that Hunter's laptop, that whole story was Russian disinformation. Well, we just caught them red-handed. It wasn't. So the national security state has to be brought to heel. Oversight as well. The whole COVID narrative and holding Fauci accountable. COVID has destroyed this country over the last 2 years. We've had the largest, I just messed up the C word. That thing. And really this is, we can hold Fauci accountable for the things that he said, but then also the largest transfer of wealth we've had from major corporations down to small businesses. That the American people deserve answers. What did the government know? What was their involvement with it? So oversight is key. I think we can turn basically every committee into an oversight committee. Armed Services Committee should be looking into Afghanistan. I mean, we had this disaster where we left Americans on the field of battle. We conducted a drone strike on the way out that we were told, I'm laughing, but it's not funny, killed a family of aid workers. We were told it was a bunch of ISIS terrorists, and then we just leave. We bring in 130,000 unvetted Afghan refugees, but yet we leave American citizens there. So oversight, so really obstruction, impeachment, and oversight is the name of the game until we can win in 2024 and get President Trump back in office.
So talking about oversight a little bit, today, I don't know if you've heard or not, but two of the people who were involved with the Whitmer kidnapping attempt have just been acquitted, and two other ones have a deadlocked jury right now. And the reasoning behind their acquittal is that the FBI
100%.
made, coerce these people into this whole idea. At least that's what the jury's saying, right? So if you're involved with some of this oversight, are you going to be trying to hold some of these agents, these individuals and those in charge accountable for the coercion that might have happened
Yeah.
on January 6th,
Yep.
but apparently definitely happened in Michigan. What would be your desired outcome for some of that oversight with some of these
Yeah.
things?
So number one is transparency for the American people. But number two is we do have to hold people accountable. So I've worked in human intelligence operations, and they sound very espionage, cloak and dagger. However, they're highly bureaucratic. It's well documented. You need certain permissions to do certain things. There's clear chains of command when you're dealing with human sources, especially when you're brushing up against infiltrating organizations and having your human sources being involved in things that potentially could be either criminal or could be terrorist in some nature, or that could actually harm somebody. And that's what we saw with the Gretchen Whitmer case. So I know for a fact that thing was either ran completely renegade and off the books, which I doubt, because the FBI is ran by a bunch of accountants and lawyers. I am guessing that it was ran with a good deal of supervision. I seriously doubt that whatever GS 12 or 13 was there controlling the agents directly, just decided that they would concoct this massive, okay, we're going to come up with this plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. Possible? Yeah, sure, it's possible. I just doubt it. I've been dealing with this stuff for quite a while. These guys had supervision. It's all documented. The exact same thing is true for January 6th. The guy that was the senior agent in charge of the Gretchen Whitmer case, he got promoted to the Washington, D.C. field office right at the exact same time. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and I think we do need people that understand how the intelligence community works and these things work to actually hold them accountable. So people do need to be held accountable. This can't just be one of those things where we're like, oh, well, we kind of goofed that up, anyways, on to the next story. We'll make sure we'll put some more, we'll put out a memo that has some bureaucratic constraints to make sure this never happens again. That's not good.
Oh, say, can you see